Hello everyone and welcome back to Monsters of the Past. As always, I'm your host Mr. G. You know, second place isn't as bad as people usually think. After all, just because you're in second place doesn't mean you're any less significant in anything. Take today's animal, for instance. It was the second dinosaur discovered, but it might even be more famous than the first dinosaur discovered. Today we're talking about the number 2 of dinosaurs, Iguanodon. Iguanodon means iguana tooth, and it was a member of the Iguanodon family. It was an herbivore that lived during the early Cretaceous in Europe. Iguanodon was a pretty big animal. Most specimens reached about 30 feet in length, but some paleontologists think that some specimens could have even grown even bigger depending on conditions. Iguanodon has the distinction of both being the second dinosaur formally described by science, as well as being the first discovered Ornischian. Much like Megalosaurus, Iguanodon was first constructed as a weird crocodile thing with a spike on its nose. However, as it would turn out, this spike actually went on the creature's thumb, where it was most likely a defense mechanism. Later on, Iguanodon got reconstructed into a bipedal kangaroo stance dinosaur, much like the theropods at the time. However, later on, Iguanodon was reconstructed again, this time as a quadruped that is capable of bipedal movements, which is typically the reconstruction that most people go with nowadays. One thing you might have heard about Iguanodon is that it's a global species. However, this is actually the result of Iguanodon being a wastebasket taxon. As it will later turn out, what were thought to be iguanodons are actually the members of the Iguanodon family, and the only place where the animal known as Iguanodon lived was in Europe. Despite their appearance, Iguanodons and the rest of its family were not hadrosaurs, although scientists do think they had a common ancestor and the two might be sibling taxons. Interestingly enough, unlike hadrosaurs or ceratopsids, there is little evidence of Iguanodon being a herd animal, which is interesting. Now that we got that out of the way, let's look at the card. You know, I'm actually kind of a big fan of the coloration they gave it. It looks nice, and it's very vibrant. I like it when people make dinosaurs Technicolor, since most movies are insistent that dinosaurs were a boring shade of gray or brown. That's one thing I like about these cards. They always make them so Technicolored. Anyway, this card was made during the time when Iguanodon was still thought to be a global species, as you can see in the Where section of its creature feature card. Also, on the back of the card, it depicts an iguanodon being attacked by a Spinosaurus. First of all, the scaling here is weird. That is either a weirdly big iguanodon or a weirdly small Spinosaurus. You could argue that it's a juvenile, but if that's the case, why would a juvenile Spinosaurus attack a fully grown iguanodon? Also, why does the Spinosaurus have a completely different coloration than on the Spinosaurus card? And it still has the generic Megalosaur head. If you're gonna redesign it, then go all the way, don't just halfway it or something. Anyway, Iguanodons and Spinosaurus weren't even contemporary, so this wouldn't have been a scenario that was possible in real life. Also, I can't tell if they're depicting it as a biped or a quadruped who's just standing up, because the way they positioned it, it's honestly hard to tell, so no points added or subtracted. Anyway, I give this an 8 out of 10 because of the outdated locations and the fact that it's being attacked by an anachronistic animal. Now, unlike Megalosaur, which despite being the first dinosaur barely appeared in pop culture, Iguanodon has a decent amount of pop culture appearances. Iguanodon was in Jurassic Park 3 Park Builder, and it was planned to be in Operation Genesis, but it was cut at the last minute. It appeared in Jurassic World Evolution, and Jurassic Park Builder, as well as Jurassic World the game, but I couldn't find any decent pictures of it. They've appeared in the Land Before Time movies. They've appeared in Ice Age 3 Dawn of the Dinosaurs as a background animal. The main character of the Disney movie Dinosaur is an iguanodon. Walking with Dinosaurs gave us two varieties, the North American iguanodon, which has since been reclassified as a different genus known as Decotodon, and the actual animal known as iguanodon, here known as the European iguanodon. And finally, Iguanodon appears as a tameable animal in the video game Ark Survival Evolved, where its gimmick is that it can switch between being a quadruped and a biped. That's all for this episode of Monsters of the Past. Next time, you guys voted, and you agreed that Nothosaurus and Elasmosaurus should be different videos. So next time, we're doing Nothosaurus by itself. Bye!